Another fireside chat, and this is going to be with Mr. Ramgopal Subramani, who's the COO of Perfios. Perfios is our presenting sponsor for today's event also. So may I call upon Mr. Subramani to join us on stage. And to kind of interview him, we have Mr. Suresh Mahalingam, who's an independent director, leadership coach, and former MD and CEO of Tata IIA Life. May we have you on the stage? So, yeah. Yes, the mic.
Hello.
Hello.
Thankfully, our session is not immediately after lunch, so to that extent we are spared. But the not so good news is you've heard so much of data being spoken and the usage of data being spoken that this is like a refresher course, right? And so therefore we'll try and give you a perspective on how the usage of data across the insurance value chain. Now, having been a practitioner for many years, I can tell you there are new schools of thought that have actually come in the insurance industry. And with the growth of the insurance industry, namely in life, health, and general, many of these companies are adopting many things. And one of the common language that they all speak is how do we leverage data? Have we arrived completely? The answer is no. Are companies engaging with technology firms and multiple other companies to look at it? The answer is yes. Are there proof of concepts being done in the insurance industries? Yes. Has it advanced to a large extent? The answer is no. Right? So I'm just giving you a practical perspective to try and give you the opportunity landscape that's actually available in the insurance industry. And to discuss data, I thought in terms of the value chain, I'll ask a couple of questions to you, Ram, and some of it could be repetitive. We heard some interesting concepts on alternate data, AI and insurance. But just let's evolve. How has the use of data in your interaction with multiple insurance companies over the years, how has the data evolved in the Indian insurance industry over the past decade? And what are some key trends or developments you are observing?
Yes, Suresh, first of all, thanks. I mean, you understand the industry a lot more than I do. I'm still relatively new to the whole insurance industry. Probably been actively, I would say our first journey with insurance was probably somewhere in 2017, 16, 17, where the whole life insurance part looked at using data in underwriting. Okay. At that time, obviously, it was the account aggregation ecosystem was not there. So it was about proprietary mechanisms and services offered. And our involvement with insurance industry has been in the last 3 years. And we started this whole journey with health because we felt that health claim processing is a big challenge, right? But before I answer the part of it, if I look at the evolution of technology, right, is something that is happened a lot more. So there is significant enhancement in the business process automation. So today, if you look at it, a part of it, I mean, just the fact is, and if I look at the pace of change that is happening, this conversation last year, we are talking about business process, we are talking about distribution. Today, the number of insurers who have built out APIs, the number of players in the market who are actually building out infrastructures for enabling distribution through channel. I mean, obviously, insurance is completely channel-led, right? Whether it is life or general, right? So, it's the progress. So that way, the process of engage, one is internal process, is heavily technology-driven. The interface to the market, not just your self-service app, right? The apps that are where an individual like us can go and apply for an insurance policy, or even, let's say, to renew your policy or pay a premium, correct? Those things are all there, right? But what is, so that's a part of it. Now the distribution part is getting enabled. I think it was originally a portal-led thing. with the likes of your Turtle Mint and others giving platforms for the agents to log in and operate on it. But now what we are saying is the agents are kind of transitioning from the pure play traditional to your digital intermediary. Now, which is where that's about as I mean. So now, as you think about this thing, and I know Sumit talked about it, right? All of us have got used to things being done instantaneously. Okay, right? But these are all consumption behaviors. Can consumption behaviors come into play where there is risk? So, I mean, obviously, payment can happen in a few minutes on an online purchase transaction, right, or a whichever form of it. If we look at whether it is in the context of the banking, whether it is in terms of the wealth management, or it is in the terms of insurance, right? All of us do profiling for different reasons. Profiling to understand the risk. I mean, risk in terms of ability to commit, or ability to pay a premium, or ability to pay a EMI, right? Or even ability to have a SIP going continuously. So, then the intent, okay, and the rigor, or what I call a stability. So, what is the large part which we are seeing data? That is still a part which is still manual to a large extent, whether it is in the underwriting as part of the onboarding, or it is in terms of the claim processing, or even the part of it, right? So, the decision analytics is a part where which probably will be truly the last frontier for achieving real-time fulfillment. The fact is, you have taken an application, right? You have done the application online, but you still take 20 days to send a document. Now today, you have enough technologies by which the decision can be done, the assessment can be done, the decision can be taken, a document can be sent.
Okay.
Well, right. So that is where I would say that the element which comes in is obviously the infrastructure. Data pipes are available.
Okay.
Information pipes are available. Now the semantic in the context of the pipe is something which will have to be adopted.
Okay. So in other words, what I hear you say is that whilst efforts are being used to look at data, there is obviously an explosion of data which insurers can actually look at in terms of how does it map up, in terms of what we want to do. Emanating from the data is the analytics that one could possibly look at, and the usage of the analytics in terms of decision making as far as the insurance industry is concerned. And to that extent, also leverage that for personalization in terms of the customer experience that you can actually give to the customer. I just want to move a step further, building on that information and looking at it from a customer experience perspective, and especially one of the larger aspects from a customer experience perspective is this whole notion of the entire claims process, right? And I think that's something most insurance have done a variety of things, leveraging information and so on and so forth. The claims process is a crucial part of the insurance value chain, right? Whether it's life, health, or the general insurance. How are data analytics and technology streamlining the entire claims process? And more fundamentally, how is it reducing fraud in the insurance industry? I think this is a big risks, and everybody looks at it. The actuaries look at it. The risk committees look at it. Consumers look at it. And this is one fear that the insurance industries have. How can that be leveraged?
Yeah. See, I think first of all, from the way the technology has evolved, I mean, your cloud has become mainstream. The imaging OCR technologies have become a lot more advanced, a lot more this thing. So because from the quality of the image, the extraction, right, is become much more better. Now, obviously, so we are able to kind of process documents. I mean, like we see hospital bills, right? India has 60,000 hospitals. I mean, Malaysia had only 150. Yeah. But 60,000 hospitals, the bills, even if we say the top, and as an industry, it's a long tail industry. There is no one single hospital which kind of has a large market share, which may not be true as from an insurance industry perspective. Obviously, LSE dominates the life, right? Then you have the rest of the market share broken among the other players, right? But from a hospital perspective, it is hugely distributed. It's a long tail. Even the likes of your Manipal or Apollo and all those things, right? Share what 4 to 5% of the market. So in that part, that which means that every hospital format of document becomes different. Okay, whether it is the medical bills, whether it is a discharge summary, whether it is the report. So and obviously today there is a lot of interface built in terms of cashless claim coming through API. The document comes in. But after the document comes in, I mean, obviously the likes of TPAs are doing humongous job in terms of making sure they're processing. A lot of the insurance companies have started moving a lot of it in-house, right? So, because again, a TPA has a certain mandate, but customer experience is, end of the day, you own the relationship with the customer. Okay, one bad experience or in a time when you want money or where you want think that you rightfully deserve to be, this is the reimbursement or this much is your bill should be covered, but you get a part of it, right? So that's an experience which impacts the industry. So that is where what we have been able to do, and I know there are other players also in the market, digitization of the hospital documents to an extent has been done. Okay, I think also the government program or the ABDH, right, also is bringing the part that digital documents comes in a form, right? But what is the part of it, next part of it is being able to categorize every line item on the medical bill. Looking at the discharge summary to say that, are they related? So today, that is, so even just the categorization as per the IRDA norms versus the categorization as per the insurer norms, right, of payment, whether it's room charges, whether it is a procedure, okay, whether it is consumables, right? So all of those things are right now where a lot of the AI is coming. Again, the cost of technology has reduced significantly, and I'm not talking about using generative AI, right? Generative AI is the route forward, but at a basic level, the deep learning techniques being used to identify and categorize every line item. Once you're able to identify and categorize every line item, then comes to the part that then you're able to determine whether are these items valid? Okay, right? I mean, as simple as the patient attender. Whatever is the food charges or things charges being associated with the part should typically be excluded, right, from a bill. Or the fact is, as per the policy, someone went for a cataract treatment and then you did a CT scan. It's a packaged product. So deviation, right? And what we found very interestingly, I mean, obviously we've done this in the international market in the Southeast Asia, but we have been doing a lot of pilots with several insurers. And 2 of the pilots that we did on a very small sample set of 1,000 files. And this is what is coming to the fraud team. So it's not even the entire set, right? On that sample of 1,000 files, we found 33% cases where the fraud team had not identified overcharging or overtreatment. Now, when we talk about consumer experience, I mean, obviously this is going to take a lot of effort beyond the people in this room, right? We can all aspire for it, but the fact is, can we penalize hospital which overcharges, right? I mean, it's a very strong lobby, but the part is, that is a reality, because as a insurance, whether we are an intermediary or an insurance firm, we can go and identify saying that the hospital is overcharged. So we only do partial reimbursement. But at the end of the day, the consumer suffers. And consumer does not realize that the overcharging is by the hospital. They only look at the fact that the insurance firm did not give me the money that I spent. So although insurance is an assurance product, but the industry ends up with a bad name. Okay. So today, I mean, like we know this is in Malaysia, the insurance regulatory body is at this point of time doing, because we don't sort of work with them and we work with some of the insurance firms over there. They are trying to take all this digitized data and create benchmarks. And then they're trying to build a rating mechanisms of hospitals, right? And obviously there's part. So I think there is a huge potential in leveraging the analytics and the fraud, waste, abuse, right, to change the consumer experience. I mean, I saw there's a topic about health insurance for the middle India, right? Now, in those scenarios, it's only just be, when like for them, the impact is much more higher. So I think the unit economics and all the parts, now technology and data is there. There are initial parts of impact. The immediate term benefit will be there for the insurance companies, but how do we as a industry make sure our customers really benefit is the challenge.
So just if I can sum up a very extensive answer is that there is a lot of work that is happening and a lot of work that's happening in the automation and the technology front. Leveraging data is improving efficiency from a cost angle, and as clearly there are ways to look at fraud detection based on the analytics. And also predictive analytics is also helping you in terms of saying which is right and which is wrong and helping the insurance industry. And lastly, the point that you said in terms of where do you detect essentially about reducing false positives as part of the entire data. I just want to move from claims now to talking about customer profiling and looking at open standards as possibly the next area where data could be leveraged. Given the historically limited focus on customer profiling in the Indian insurance industry, I mean, we talk a lot about profiling, but we do very little, and the increasing demand for insurance driven by the greater awareness that is currently happening, how do you think insurers can enhance customer engagement by leveraging open standards?
Yeah, see, first of all, I think one of the challenges, right, at an industry level, all of us are sitting on silos of data. I mean, we might have a CRM system, we might have a customer database which is there, application which is there. Okay, we will have claims data. Now, analytics, bringing all of this data into a single data warehouse, okay, is something, I think that itself is a aspect that we are seeing in the industry where there are steps being turned towards, right? So, which is a part. So I think that is the first step towards it. But even at the part that, and the other part is obviously, I think the standards like A, right, makes transmission of data easier, reduces friction. Now, the part is, it is not just limited to banking. If you think of the part as GST has come under the ambit of A. Now you have capital market data which has come into the ambit of A. And then obviously there are many insurance companies also have come under the ambit of A, correct? Now, so first of all, which means that to a large extent, if we are leveraging, we have today pipes which gives us data. I can get a much more better perspective of a customer. Okay. One of the challenges which is there is, especially in general, is contactability. Okay. Which means that most of the time, because the intermediary does not want the customer to be taken over by the insurer, right? So the intent is very wise, but then the point is, you are looking at if now with all this data sources which is coming in, you have address. In a lot of cases, at least 30% to 35% of the account statements today have phone numbers, mobile numbers, right? Okay. So that comes in. If you're looking at the whole, and all of us think about insurance as retail, but then there's a huge play in commercial. GST becomes a very rich source of data, right? Now, basis that you can look at not just when you're talking about customer profiling, I would look at both profiling individuals and entities. And here is the part, right? We talk about the fact is today we are building distribution, but the intent of distribution is again, if I look at it, you open the doors, okay, but then the customer doesn't walk through the door. How do you make him to go from one room to another room to another room? Okay. He walks into the door, looks at the wall, looks nice, walks away. So which means he does not do his renewal. He walks into the door, he does not go to the next room, so he doesn't understand that I have today, like all of us have appliances, right? Now we don't think about warranty. I mean, like, can I get insurance, household, right? We know the fact is there are general insurance product which gives you 10 year for a home protection, but this is largely for the construction and natural disasters. Okay. But appliances a lot of the times does not get covered on that. It's a separate part of it, right? It's about lifestyle. I mean, I know I was having a conversation with someone earlier in the day, right? They said, I'm doing sachet insurance.
Mhm. Yep.
Correct? So which means to understand what all is the customer interaction. See, on the same customer data, if I know I'll just go back to the part of, if you look at a bank statement, right? It can, it can work in multiple forms. It can work as a form, as a declaration validation. Someone has declared on their bank statement that, in the application form, that they don't smoke. Correct? And or they are basically fitness aware. Okay, with a very healthy lifestyle they have. But you see the part is UPI transactions of 18 rupees. I know I said this last year also, and one person opposed me and said that I was buying it for my girlfriend, right, and not for my. But it is 18 rupees as purchase of a cigarette. You look at the consumer behavior, someone eating out frequently, right, traveling a lot. So obviously the amount of potential health stress which comes in, depending on the age and demography, could be factors which can be used to derive behavioral aspects. So that same data in different context, in terms of onboarding, in terms of engagement, right? In the engagement part, and sometimes absence of data. You see fuel charges. You know that he's probably got a vehicle of some form. In your system, you don't have any vehicle insurance for the customer, right? But you have information. Can that be asked the question, do you own a vehicle? Now, this can be both at an intermediary level, an agent, or it can be an engagement on the app. So that is where the power of data, both at a individual and a consumer, I mean, someone is doing export-import business. You have in the GST invoices, which indicates that it's an export-import business, right? Now, your mark-to-market credit line insurance, right? Or logistic insurance can become things like transit insurance. A lot of these things can come from profiling. So I think which is where, see, why do we today, I mean, if I look at the part of it, a lot of the app engagements where we have few apps and we spend time on it. I mean, other than obviously spending way too much time on looking at the posts on WhatsApp. But there are some apps that you do spend meaningful engagement, right? It is about having nudges, hooks, conversation. So can that give you a yield or a return on a higher customer upsell retention? That's the possibility. I mean, the possibilities are huge. I think one of the big challenge, friction in getting data, has been solved for. Now it is about leveraging the data.
So what you're also saying is that there is so much of data available which can be accessed, which can then be correlated, and to that extent, a lot of the offers for customer service orientation can be personalized using open standards. I'm trying to sum it up in a. Okay, in the interest of time, we can keep talking since we have limited time on the data. The final question to you, Ram, and we've heard lots of discussions since morning. We've just heard alternate data, conversations on alternate data. Looking into the future, right? I think the insurance industry in India has come a long way. The InsurTech industry is also coming a long way. There are some great standards and great things that are being offered. Looking into the future, what do you envision as the next big steps in the integration of data and technology across the insurance value chain in our country?
See, actually, if I look at it broadly, I think, I mean, obviously technology is there. Now data has become available. Decisions can be much more efficiently done, right? It is obviously sachet products are coming in. So if I look at innovation of products, innovation of engagement, right, is one set of part of the aspect which comes into it. But but then someone talked about the fact is you do all these things, but your backend is still not aligned, which still takes you a longer time to do this one, right? So if I look at the part of it, two major thrust areas, which is of interest, obviously is the whole embedded part, which means that the whole API coming into parts where APIs become available. But I think the other part which will come into the bigger component is the whole policy administration systems. I know it's a big ask, it's a huge investment, but in the process of integration, right, if you want to achieve efficiency of your products, right, and if you want to increase penetration, because more and more will become micro insurance. I mean, if you look at Bharat, all of us deal with India and probably a large part of the metro. If you think about the insurance industry, I mean, it might be growing at a good rate today, but there's a huge potential for it to grow. And at least we have seen this in the whole banking side, the kind of penetration that's happened, right? Or the pin codes that have been covered. So if we are going to look at that part of it, the needs of those markets are very different. In those markets, product, innovation as a product, but it has to be in the full cycle of it. So I would say, at least the way I look at the future, and I think there are players who are also doing quite a few interesting work, is the whole, I would say the last basically bastion would be the policy administration platform as being the big impact space.
So policy administration system, a lot of the conversations that you said in the previous questions on AI and possibly AI-driven underwriting, maybe telematics at some stage in terms of how do we leverage data, something to do, I mean, I think we just heard a little while ago about cyber security, and possibly also look at blockchain for trust at some level. And all of it obviously will require active participation with the regulator to try and make sure that these are all available. Thank you so much, Ram, for for your insightful answers on the specific questions, and I'm sure the audience would have loved some perspective that we could give from a differentiated perspective on data on the value chain for the insurance industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.